Welcome back. Talking about Champions League football, still a while to go, but why not discuss the fixtures? Because we have some really juicy matches coming up. Basically, the pot has been split into two sides, the heavyweights and the lightweights, obviously. So clearly, it's going to be odds are high that there's going to be an Italian team in the final, and then who knows who else is going to end up. So yeah, we're going to take turns basically going through each fixture list and see who we think is going to be the winner. Karthik, why don't you start off with Benfica versus Inter?
I really think Benfica have the edge on this. They are probably the only other unbeaten team in the Champions League apart from Napoli, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, Bayern Munich actually.
Oh,
Napoli was
Bayern.
beaten by Liverpool.
Right, right. So I'm going with Benfica at least for the first leg. And it's Benfica at home. So Inter might really have a problem. But Inter have known to come back from some odd circumstances. So there could be a swing in the second leg, but for the first leg, I'm certain Benfica are going to be clear winners.
Yeah, I think Benfica is honestly the better team amongst the two. Inter barely made it through that second leg against FC Porto. So yeah, I think it's Benfica going through on this one. Moving on to Milan versus Napoli. Now this is juicy because Napoli have had the edge for the most part, but Milan actually put up good performances against Napoli in Italy. I still feel like Napoli just have way too much momentum going into this. The league is pretty much done and dusted, so they can afford to rotate and rest players in the league as well. And Napoli players, they're just playing with this sort of reckless abandon right now. Like, even though they are technically favorites on this side of the pot, overall, they're still probably like third or fourth favorites to go ahead and actually lift the Champions League cup, I'd assume, with bookies. But the players are just playing with just like this absolute like no holds barred attitude. They're just going out there doing what they want. I just don't see, because I think at least one of these matches of the two legs is going to be an absolute demolition, and then AC Milan is just not going to be able to come back from that.
It certainly could be a cracker-jacker of a game. I expect Milan to offer no resistance to Napoli because they are not really the side they used to be. And league performances aside, Napoli have been the side to watch across the league and Champions League. So my bet is firmly on them.
Well, let's go back to the current holders, right? Real Madrid versus Chelsea.
Okay.
Your team for this tournament.
I would strongly go with Madrid, but Chelsea have this uncanny habit of winning the Champions League when they sack a manager mid-season or in between. And as I say that, they have sacked Tuchel and have had Potter for a while now. So you never know. It's Chelsea's weird record versus the domineering side, the Champions League heritage team, Real Madrid, who always turn up on a Wednesday night. Could be a very big surprise, but since this is Madrid at home, I think it's a Madrid victory.
Yeah, plus Madrid are kind of out of the league right now, so they'll probably want to focus. Although I guess Ancelotti doesn't understand the idea of rotating a squad. He plays the same strong 11 every time, it seems like. And again, across two legs, I don't think. If this was a one off, I would have definitely given Chelsea an edge on this. But I feel Madrid have enough quality, enough experience, just enough know how to be able to brush past this Chelsea team that's still so so uneven. Like, it seemed like they're finally on some momentum, and then they went out and had that ridiculous draw against Everton in the league. So this Chelsea team still not quite there for me. So yeah, definitely Madrid favorites on this one. And yeah, moving on to Bayern Munich versus Manchester City, probably the biggest draw. And for me, I think outside of Napoli, if anybody else is going to win, it's going to be one of these two teams. Whoever wins this draw for me is going on to win that Champions League. Of course, Manchester City, Pep Guardiola got Haaland in his famous interview, said, oh, well, they did not get me in to win the league. They got me in to win the Champions League. Versus Bayern Munich, who sacked Nagelsmann just to get Tuchel in, maybe just because Tuchel has already beaten Pep in the Champions League. This one is honestly really hard to call. I don't think Tuchel is going to have as much of an impact. I just think Bayern, they just have more quality. They have more experience. I think Bayern will just edge this out. I feel like I don't know why, but I feel like Bayern have the advantage on this one.
I'm sure a certain Erling Haaland is going to wake up and choose demolition. And He has scored against Bayern, although even he's been on the losing side more than once, but he has scored against them. He knows how they are. And the defenders probably have previous trauma from him. So you never know.
Yeah, let's end this with just the idea of like, who do you think is going to pick up the final trophy? Like, who is your favorite to win this trophy? Although I know who you think, I think I know who you're going to say.
I would be comfortable if either of Real Madrid or even Napoli win it. Like
Hmm.
Napoli just for the underdog story, Madrid because they keep doing that all the time. It's like you would be foolish to like discount them just because they are having a bad league season. Bayern and Man City, I don't know. They sometimes don't have the legs, and Pep has known to be a massive overthinker when it comes to Champions
Hmm.
League games. Probably is going to start their goalkeeper up front as a forward. I don't know. He might even do that. So his uncertainty just checks out for me. I don't think that's good enough to win the Champions League.
Yeah, I feel like it's that tricky situation, right? It kind of depends on what opponents they come up against. I feel like if Bayern come up against Chelsea in the semis, I actually see Bayern losing because somehow if they come up against a weaker opponent, they tend to underperform. Versus against Real Madrid and Napoli in the final, I think they will probably go ahead and do it. But if Benfica somehow make it to the final, Bayern are definitely going to fumble, I feel like, and so will Man City. But Madrid are the kind of team who will kind of just roll them over and go ahead and grab that win. So I really can't pick right now, but I have a strong feeling it's going to be either Bayern or Manchester City because that's a big tie, and I think the confidence that either team will get from kind of going through from that tie will be enough to go ahead and give them the boost to go ahead and just go ahead and win the Champions League. So yeah, let us know what you guys think about these four ties coming in. Who is your favorite for the Champions League? Can Napoli actually do it? And has Bayern Munich taken way too big a risk, sacking a manager who is generally doing pretty well, I guess, and bringing in one manager to win one trophy that they haven't won in a while? As always, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.